Again, Broncos country.
Really excited to chop up some Broncos with you all this week.
Bourbon, Broncos, and no BS.
It is the time, your favorite time of the week. We're not for the Raiders, Chargers, or Chiefs. So grab your brews in your fantasy league. We got that blue and orange blood that you bleed. The most loyal fans there ever could be. We are that mile high Broncos country.
Orange Weekly. Fans, brews, and Broncos news.
Hello, Broncos country, and welcome to another week of Orange Weekly After Dark. As usual, I am Jason, and joining me again tonight is Kevin. Jets can't believe we're this bad, Dandino. It's pretty good.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
good.
I know. Here's happy to make fun of you directly this time. Another tough loss this week against the Jets, putting the Broncos at a very abysmal 2-5 record, 4 losses in a row. But the Broncos are making history.
I don't like where this is going. This can't be good.
For those of you who want to know what history the Broncos are making, first of all, the 2022 Broncos have fewer touchdowns through 7 games than any team in club history. And if that wasn't bad enough for you, the Broncos have 100 total points so far this year. The only time they've ever scored fewer points through this many games was in 1996. So literally since the NFL merger in 1970, this literally is the Broncos' worst offense. Where do we go from here?
Can I just say, is it bad that I'm surprised we scored 100 points? I thought it was lower. If you did an over-under for me and said 101.5 or whatever, I've been like under. Not even close. But, it's where I would say you can't get worse. You can, but God, you gotta try to be worse.
It would be tough. This is
obviously
going to be
bad.
The hot topic, which we will definitely cover quite a bit, not just this show, but I'm sure throughout the week. Please don't go here. That just hurts to read. The fact that we are that literally Shermer would be an upgrade at this point. Literally,
it would be. What we're seeing now would be a downgrade from a Shermer and Drew Lock team.
Yeah, it's a rough place to be. Go and keep posting your comments and questions. We'll try to get to as much as we can tonight, for sure. All right. Elephant in the room. Let's just address it right off the bat. We'll see if we can change course a little bit throughout the show. But Hackett, I was already, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about this, and you were very much on the train of giving him a full 2 years. I was very much on the train of he is likely going one and done unless something drastic improves. So far, things have not only just not improved, but they seem to be getting even worse. 9 points in the last 3 home games. 9 points each game. Obviously, only 8 touchdowns through 7 games. And again, for me, it's not just schematically, but it just seems like he's just in over his head. No rhyme or reason for any decision he's making right now. Have your thoughts changed at all? I mean, you were 2 full seasons 2 weeks ago. Where are you at right now?
I'm down to a season and a half, the McDaniel special, if you will. It's going to have to start with he's going to have to earn his second year. At this point, it's not even a for sure. I don't want him to be a one and done. But I think at this point, I'd like to see him get a chance going into the offseason, but he has to earn it. And that means when he gets back, and he will come back after the bye week. And I think one of the main arguments is you could have said, well, if we had Russell Wilson, we might have been able to win those 2 games. And I'm talking like we already lost the London game. I don't want to go there yet because I think we have a chance. Our defense has been keeping us in these games. We'll see. But I'm just thinking if we come back from the bye week and there's improvement, he'll earn a start, but you don't get a second half of next year. If we're at this point, even worse, at this point or not much better even, I think he's gone.
Yeah, I still think that's too gracious, to be honest, for quite a few reasons, really. I mean, so we are, last I checked, 3.5-point underdogs. We were 4.5-point underdogs at one point to the Jaguars, which, hello, rock bottom. Here's the thing. Let's see if we lose. I see Hackett probably gone. I think Evero stays. And here's the thing. And so, normally I'm not big on the in-season firings of coaches, just because more times than not, it doesn't change anything unless you completely lost the locker room. However, I will say this, and I'll get into my own reasoning too on why I think it might be an exception to that rule. Ben Albright even tweeted today, who I think he's one of the best insiders the Broncos have, not the best one. He said that he sensed a change in the feelings around the team and that the ownership is absolutely embarrassed at this point. The ownership being, of course, what are their names? The Targets?
The Waltons.
Waltons, right. Walmart, right.
I almost forgot too for a second. So.
No, but seriously, they're embarrassed, and they have every right to be embarrassed right now. And I would say I don't think that if it's as simple as a loss and he's done, like Ryan says here, I think it's a loss of seeing the same exact pattern. If we go and we get 28 points and still lose, I don't think that will have a bearing on this season as far as Hackett leaving early. But I would say if we only get 1 touchdown again and we continue to see this mind-baffling, head-scratching play calling, game planning, whatever you want to call whatever he's doing, I think that might be enough for the ownership to, at that point, press Peyton to say, get this guy out. We are literally the laughingstock of the NFL right now. And I do think that there's starting to see some crumbles in the locker room right now. I think that, Simmons being very frustrated and calling out the leadership. He didn't name any names, but he said that he's basically said he's blaming the leadership. Well, who do you think that is?
He's the captain. So unless he's blaming the other captains, the next level of leadership.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think there's some fragmentation. You saw 2 weeks ago, Gordon and Judy on the sideline talking very adamantly, not towards each other, about somebody. And I think that somebody, I think we all have our assumptions that might have been Hackett, since Gordon was very upset that game for being benched for no reason. I think the way you saw him handle the Gordon situation was precarious, to say the least. There's a lot of, and so that's why for me, this goes way beyond just schematically and having the players figure out his scheme. I think just from every aspect, from a head coach position, his leadership, his management, his adjustments or lack thereof adjustments. I think for me that this guy's just in way over his head. He might make a good head coach one day, but right now he's nowhere near head coach material.
Man, I mean, I can't argue. That's the thing, is I can't argue. From what we're seeing right now through 7 weeks, you're spot on. And it's a blind test or the eyesight test. I mean, it clear as day, right? Man, I would really, maybe I'm just too optimistic, but if I'm George Payton, I say, look, you didn't have Russell Wilson the last 2 weeks. But even if there's no changes to the score, I completely agree. I'm just thinking, do you give him the bye week to make adjustments and implement changes?
And I wouldn't, because he had a mini bye week already and he didn't make a dang bit of difference. The Thursday to Monday night, that's 11 days you had to fix something, and he didn't make a single adjustment. The other thing that he's saying, I mean, He's calling this week a short week for some reason, which I've never heard the London game being referred to as a short week.
No.
I
You're traveling. But...
Right, but that blows my mind. But anyways, he basically said, I'll see if I can pull up the quote, but he basically said he's keeping the same exact status quo. So that's the other
things are running really well.
And that too, which
there's coach speak, and I want to get your take. There's coach speak. How do you phrase it if, hey, Coach Hackett, buddy up there on the stand? How's the organization being run? How do you answer that in coach speak?
It's simple. We're not getting the job done. I think everyone is at fault. We need to take, it's gut check time. Everyone has to look in their mirror, including myself. We need to make the proper adjustments. We need to figure out what exactly is going wrong, and we don't have much time to figure it out. It starts today.
So, Coach, you've said that kind of stuff in the past, and nothing's changed.
But he really hasn't, though. I mean, every week it's been more of this. Oh well, I need to do better. I need to do better. It starts with myself, but we're not. But we're not going to change anything. And so, his direct quote for those watching: "We're all going to work together to build a great plan. I feel our operation has been going really well." I'm not sure what part of a historically awful offense is going really well. I mean, absolutely not. I'll get to this comment here in a second. But let's see, Hackett might be setting a record for losing locker room minus. Okay, thank you. I was going to say, I thought you were putting him on because I have seen that comment before. I have seen people say this is Urban Meyer territory. Not quite. Urban Meyer is a whole different species. Different. But I don't disagree with how high the expectations were going in the season versus how low they currently the reality is. Absolutely, we'll get more into this for sure. If change is made, I would expect Capers to take the interim job because he does have some experience. And for me, Ero's been phenomenal, but I don't want to risk messing with the one side of the ball that's actually working for us.
Don't promote him,
right? I mean,
it's nothing against him. It's just you're the like
he's working.
This is the one thing of the team that we have.
Right.
We cannot change what's happening here.
Stay focused on what you're doing. And that brings up, so another one, I don't know if you saw this one, but they asked Hackett after the game if he saw one defensive penalty or whatever. And his response was, no, I wasn't paying attention. I was too busy getting prepared for the next drive. And this is where a lot of people are right. And this is where a lot of people are going, why aren't you giving up play calling? If you did not get hired to be a glorified play caller.
Yeah.
You are hired as a head coach. If you can't manage the game, why are you playing call? You cannot, you're proving you cannot do both. You're admitting you cannot do both. But you are so stubborn. I think that's where his demise is going to be. It's his stubbornness to change and adapt and adjust. He can't even watch both sides of the ball right now, and he's unwilling to give that part up.
If you're George Payton, do you, assuming we lose, knock on wood, I don't want to hope that, obviously, do you go up to Hackett and say, you have two options. You're gone, or you give up play calling? Or you just say, I gave you the choice. This was your chance.
Yeah.
And you're gone.
I don't think you give him an option.
And the reason I'm so I'm not clinging on because I love Hackett. I'm so sick of the constant turnover.
And I get it. I do. And I think that's, one of the frustrations that a lot of Broncos country has is it seems like we're spinning our tires. And even when we finally have going into the season, we have this roster that everyone is super excited about. And here we are 2-5 again with a chance of being 2-6 again. But for me, you got all in on Wilson. Well, you're basically saying you want to be in a win now window at the moment. So you don't have time to kind of play around and mess around with years of Wilson's contract. I think it is much better at this point, if nothing changes, for Payne to admit he missed on this one. Dan Quinn's going to be available again this next offseason. He's going to be one of the top targets as a head coach. Yeah. And just say, hey, we missed on this one. We're not going to waste another offseason. We're not going to waste another year with this coach who cannot admit when he's wrong. Because that's the other thing is they asked him about his preseason approach. And he said there's nothing wrong with his preseason approach. So that means to me, just like every time an instance this year when it's been painfully obvious he's made a mistake, he doubles down. And so now we're going to the next offseason doing the same exact jog throughs, no contacts, no preseason games, and look what that has gotten us. Zero advantage at this point. And so for me, I think he just seems to be so stubborn, so set in his ways, and unwilling to adjust and adapt and change. I mean, that's why we have 5 points in the third quarter all season, because we go into halftime, other teams make adjustments, and we just roll out the same thing. Or for some reason this year, this halftime, we actually made adjustments and we worked away from what was actually working. You were at the game, so you didn't hear this. Maybe you did, but they asked him at halftime, like they do at the usual coach interviews, what adjustments you make, what would you like or whatever. And he said, "Oh, we're running the ball really well. We need to lean into our run game," which is, it was working. It was great. So you say that, you admit it, and then you come out in the second half and you throw 6 straight passes and punt. Not to mention, we end up with 46 pass attempts with our backup QB, which is more than Wilson has thrown at any game so far this year. So you have a backup quarterback, your run game's working, and you throw the ball more than you ever have this year. And that's why, again, there's no rhyme or reason for anything he's deciding to do.
I'm going to be honest, and this is getting way too ahead of ourselves. We're not getting Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, like you said, is going to be the most competitive, probably coaching candidate, if not one of the top couple. If I'm him, I'm going to want to go to a team where there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to succeed, not to a place where I know that I might have 7 games and that's it.
Here's where I would counter is, one, I don't think he'd be that short-lived coach. He has head coach experience. I mean, he's taken a team to a Super Bowl. He's regarded as just one of the great leaders of the league. Sure. Second of all, where I would kind of disagree is he was really only interested in Denver last year. Once Denver turned him down, he took his name off the head coach packet altogether. And that's why he went to return to Dallas, because he was a very hot commodity. And as soon as Denver decided to go with Hackett, he went, okay, well, I'm returning to Dallas. He doesn't have family or anything here, does he? No, I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. So I wouldn't count him out that easy. He looked at the roster, he looked at the outlook, and he really liked what he saw. If not much changes other than the head coach position, I think he would still be interested in coming and almost having like a coy, hey, you should have hired me earlier type of mentality, but still taking and showing why they missed him on the first time as well. So here's so changing gears slightly onto Peyton, because I've seen a lot of fire Peyton's type things. I think that is a knee-jerk reaction at best.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing, guys. We'll just end it on this. This time next week, we'll have an answer. By the time we're doing the show Monday, we'll know if Hackett's gone or not. They're not going to wait till Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh yeah, it's bye week or he's in for the year.
Week. Yeah. So just so you know, guys, this has a week before that expires, and then we'll know. So whatever we're talking about next week, if you come here, let's not, again, glad everyone's here, but let's not start commenting like fire Hackett this week, because I'm telling you right now, it's just not going to happen if he's here next.
This will be the last. This is his, I think, not just his. I think is the organization, Peyton, and ownership. This is the last look at, do we keep Hackett for the season or not? If he survives the bye week, he survives the year. I still think he's one and done, but he's in for the year. Yeah. At the same time, yes, I think if we come away with 9 points against the Jags, it's going to be a very, very long plane ride home.
Long plane ride, and we'll all be watching the news closely Monday.
Absolutely.
Throughout the day.
I agree our defense has been rock solid. I mean, literally, 18 points is all we've needed the past 3 weeks. Yeah. 18 points.
If your defense holds the other team to under 20 points, you win 95% of those games.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as you have an average offense.
I mean, we could absolutely be 6-1 if our offense was just functional.
We don't need to be functional. That's the thing. Yeah, we don't need 40 plus points a game. We just need 2 touchdowns and a couple field goals.
Absolutely. I don't think it's time for a fire sale either. I think this is just a lost year. I think you missed on your coach. We haven't even addressed the injuries. We have 3 more injuries to add. Boone, Browning, and Fleming are all out for the first 2, at least the next 3 weeks. I haven't heard too much about Fleming. Nothing's out for this week. So injuries, the whole preseason fiasco. Again, coach, I think it's just a lost season. And with the lost season, they happen. They happen in sports. They do. And with those lost seasons, it's tough as a fan because you want those adjustments. Yeah. But again, we went to the season with a roster that looked awesome on paper.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you would really adjust to that. I mean, maybe, if you get the right draft picks from a team that's willing to get, a guy like Chubb or whatever, but they'd have to be the right draft picks. Like first or second rounds, possibly even multiple.
And you're not going to get that out of those players.
No, absolutely. Chubb is the one you might get those. Judy and Hamler, no chance. So it's going to be, and I think that's going to be a lot of frustration where I think the one change we see this offseason is going to be the coaching area, but the roster is going to stay mainly intact.
I mean, look, the roster was good enough to get us 4 primetime games. That 5th one in December against the Chiefs, we're going to get flexed out of that. But we were scheduled for 5. Okay. But so you take that fifth one away, we're scheduled for 4 games. And that says something. Like, people respect the caliber players we have. Man, if this team was healthy, and we did have a coaching staff that, like Josh here says, let's Russ be Russ. And part of that is getting him out of the pocket so he can see, because he's a little shorter than me. I'm a tall guy.
Don't give yourself too much credit.
Okay, he's just a little higher, taller than me. Yeah, you let him do that. I agree with Josh here. But
I think, for me, kind of this past game put to bed any argument of, is this more on Rust or this more on Hackett? You had the same exact result, same exact questionable play calling.
Yep.
You're having your kicker kick a 55-yard field goal in 20 to 30 mile per hour swirling winds. When the week prior you didn't let him kick a 58-yarder in perfect conditions. You got, again, pass plays on 3rd and 1, like just football 101 we're missing.
Is it just me, or do we get to 4th and 1 more than any team?
Quite a bit.
And I don't remember watching football, the Broncos in the past, where it's like, 4th and 1 again, multiple times a game. It's like, can we not just get that extra 3 feet?
Yep.
And
it's weird that the times that you keep it simple, like they did this past week, and either do a quarterback rush or whatever, you pick it up. And then when you go back to, we're going to try to get fancy and throw a play action pass behind the line of scrimmage, all of a sudden weird. It doesn't work. You go back to under the gun, or again, just the basic stuff, or again, end of the game, which a few people have hit on, 4th and 3, just get the first down. Why are we taking a shot to the end zone against their best corner?
I understand that you have no timeouts left and you can't go down in the middle of the field.
But this was even the drive before.
But you could have still spiked the ball if you needed to.
And that was on the last drive.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the drive before that, even where we had 3 timeouts still on like the 30-ish yard line or whatever. 2 minutes. So time and timeouts were not an issue. And then the next drive, equally true, 50 seconds, 4th and 10, get the first down. Why are we doing a Hail Mary?
Well, think about it this way as well. Another game, I think the 3rd one in a row, where special team / kicking issue really impacted how we approach the end of the game. If it had been if Waitman had held that kick properly, it wasn't a McManus error.
No, it was definitely a holding error.
It wasn't a snapping error. It was a holding error. Mistakes happen. We're human, but this is a third game in a row.
It was on him.
Right. But we would have been down by 6.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of trying to go for a touchdown there in that second to last drive of your timeout, you go for the field goal on 4th and 3rd.
Sure.
They're going to run the ball 3 times. The Jets are, like they did.
Mm-hmm.
You get the ball back. You just need a field goal again to tie it.
Yep.
So that, again, if you're looking back, here's another special teams trend now where it's not necessarily the same exact thing, but kicks, extra points, and field goals in the last 3 weeks have really screwed us over.
It's a bunch of small mistakes that add up that become insurmountable for an offense that can't get the basics down.
That's so crazy. Like, we can't overcome missing an extra point.
Yep. And that's where we're at right now.
That's how bad it is.
Heck's always been the biggest problem this season. Has no idea what he's doing. See, here's the thing. I don't even know if that the second half is true, because what has he done?
Right.
He hasn't had a chance to show himself. And you very well might be right. He might be absolutely clueless. But I don't know.
Role in this.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know either way if he's good or bad, because he's a role filler.
Yeah.
He's there so we can say we have an offensive coordinator.
Wasn't he essentially saying he doesn't have much control over anything?
Pretty much. And here's the other thing too that shockingly did not pick up as much traction as I was expecting it. Basically, the offensive staff, according to Otten, spent a week or something like that.
9 days.
Sleeping in the facility, not talking to their family, not driving home, which one for me is, didn't Payton say that he's big on
Yep.
Work-life balance. So again, leadership, poor leadership.
Yep.
Which I won't even get into that. But to me, what's more disturbing is the fact that you spent that much time in a facility trying to figure this out, and you still come up with 9 points. That to me shows how out of the league they are.
It's not just 9 points. 9 points with Rippon, I can understand if you're calling good plays.
Sure.
If you're lining up under center on 3rd and 1 for a QB sneak, which worked earlier in the game.
Yep.
If you're making these right decisions and they're just not working because Rippon is not a good quarterback, he's backup for a reason, right? So that's different. But when you get 9 points, well, forget Rippon. It's because of these play calls. Yeah. So
again, you're having your backup throw 46 passes in a game when your run game is working, and the offense you claim is your famous offense when you brought it in here is a run heavy offense. That's why we were so excited about Javonte Williams going into this year, is this outside zone run heavy offense. And so you have this run heavy offense you're preparing all preseason long, all training camp, and then we get into a situation where we have to play our backup quarterback, and now we're throwing it 46 times. It's just like what thought process is going on? So any ads or anything today? Are we all right? Well, we're going to take a quick pause and then we're going to change gears a little bit, but first, here's the monologue of the day.
Hey guys, so look, I wish I had something to like really hype you up about in terms of putting you guys in a mindset of getting excited, right? Well, hey, it is like you said, all these games were coming down to the wire. The defense is keeping us in those games, and in the end of the game, man, just like this last week, it's 4th down. And I was right there in row 2 in the end zone. And just, clenching my fists, biting my teeth, like, oh my God, like this is going to happen. Here we go. And of course, it can go in our favor, but man, that feeling is just, such a big part of football. And guys, let me tell you what, you can make every play feel that exciting with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And their unbeatable offers. Right now, new customers can make any $5 NFL bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Check this out, guys. In addition to the usual bets, everybody can boost their winnings with a DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Obviously, a lot of games, here at Orange Weekly, we focus on the Broncos one. So the London game coming up, very interesting matchup with really not being a home team or a home game for either one. Very even keel field. Everybody's tired from the travel. So it's going to be really interesting. This could be a really good one to look at some bets, see if you think there's some that are worth it, right? But to make things even sweeter, you can throw down on stepped up same game parlays once per game day all season long. Now, here's how you get on this, guys. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code TPPN to get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Just place a $5 bet on any football game only at DraftKings Sportsbook using promo code TPPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Fantastic. How exciting is that? Especially this year. The NFL has been so weird this year. I mean, we just saw the Bears destroy New England at New England. You've had the Bucks and Green Bay are both 3-4. It's been a weird year. So, hey, take advantage of some of those betting lines because, hey, you never know what's going to happen this year. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit. We talked about ownership slightly, and that it seems like something has kind of shifted per Ben Albright, which might have a factor in firing Hackett. Let's say that does happen. How are we feeling about ownership getting involved? Is that something that we are afraid of? Do we think it's a one-time thing? I mean, do we want them hands out? I mean, what are our thoughts with our ownership potentially getting involved in making a decision on the status of a coach?
I don't want them to get too involved. Then you get a Jerry Jones situation where, you have, Jerry Jones is the owner / GM, but look, that doesn't work well. Each level has a very specific role in the planning, their vision for the future, all the things that the team needs to do. The Waltons should have a say, and nothing wrong with making their point made. But man, I would love to have owners, and we'll see with this. We'll never know the details, obviously. But I think it goes down to, I want owners that will support the GM.
Sure.
They don't have to always agree and always make the same of the decisions that the owners maybe say, hey, I think this is the direction we need to go, but it's your call, boss. You just know that as a GM, you are responsible for the outcomes, So look, we go for, another year. Let's say that Wilson just doesn't work out. God, I don't even think about that. But, as a GM, you go to George Payton and say, hey, we had the Hackett fiasco. Wilson's not working out. And that was $250 million of our money that you signed on, before we got here, which you had to make a decision. But it's a lot of money, man.
Yep.
And look what you did.
Yep.
So at that point, it's on him. So I don't want the owners to step in and be like, you're going to do this.
Right.
That becomes a slippery road very quickly. Peyton would just sit there and be like, well, then I have no say. Like, what am I doing here?
Right.
And the whole thing falls apart that quickly. And we're in the same boat we were 2 years ago with no GM, no owner.
Right. Yeah. It'll be an interesting aspect to watch unfold. I get it, and I guess it depends on how it all plays out, which long term, it would take years. One, we're married to Russell Wilson. I mean, with that contract, you can't get rid of it without being completely dead in dead cap space. But it'll be interesting, if the Wallens decide to take this as a set a tone, set an example of what they are and what they will not stand for. They want to be a winning organization. They want to, obviously they dropped a pretty penny to own this team. So this might be, hey, we're not going to do this losing culture type of thing. And so this one time we're going to get involved and we're going to say that this did not work out for us. It's not working out for us. We are going to make a change. We'll let Peyton hire the next coach again. We'll give him another shot at hiring the next coach. But we are not going to own a team that has this much of a losing culture, that they, that a team thinks is going to be acceptable, to this degree. So it'll be interesting to see for sure, and kind of how that plays out. But again, yeah, you're right. It could be very slippery slope, in how that process plays out. So we're going to start wrapping up here, guys. Go and start posting any final questions, comments you might have. Why don't we show the schedule for the week, especially since Sunday is going to look slightly different.
Boom. Hey guys, lots of content here at Orange Weekly. Big thing for this week with us being at London. The game is at 7:30 Mountain Time. That's a.m. in the morning. Okay, just so everyone's aware. Don't go to your TVs at 7:30 p.m. and be like, I'm going to watch the game, because it's gone. It's over. And if you didn't see that the game played by then you don't have a phone or something. That's weird. But we will be live on Orange Weekly at 6:30 a.m. like we always are, 1 hour before kickoff for the pregame show. I'll have my mimosas. It's going to be awesome. So make sure, bring a drink if you want, and enjoy an early morning Broncos talk as we get ready for the Broncos game over in London. But rest of the content there, make sure you check us out. And glad you're all here as always. Appreciate your support.
Absolutely. And just so you know, next Monday, we will not be having an After Dark show due to it being Halloween. Some of us here already wearing our costumes.
Every day, baby.
Scary, horrifying stuff. Some things that are even more terrifying than the Broncos offense.
Nobody goes up to you and says, hey, would you donate for this cause? Because they're like, I don't want to go over to that guy. And so it's a very peaceful lifestyle.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, I suppose. But either way, next Monday, have a safe Halloween. I'm not even sure who the Monday Night Football game is, but that's not the Broncos, so who really cares that much, I suppose. But either way, we will not be on next Monday night. So here we go. 2-5, lots of question marks, especially in the coaching position. And sorry, Jared, I'm not sure if you're watching the show or going to watch the show, but you were wrong in everything you said yesterday in our conversation. And I can say that because it's my show, and I'm sure you'll defend your point later on this week, but that's fine. The thing is, his claim is that blaming the coach is an easy way out. It's the easy thing to do. I disagree. I think at this point, it's calling a spade. And let's be honest, right now, Hackett is the Joker.
I don't think that's the point he's making. I'm thinking at the point he's making, just really quickly, and because I want to clarify this with him tomorrow and see if I'm right. The point he's making is If you are a fan that is jumping on the Fire Hackett train right away, you're doing it only because you know you're going to be right, not necessarily because it's the right thing to do. You want to be right. You really think the Broncos are going to fire Hackett, but Jared may be thinking that it's not necessarily the right thing to do, and he's more upset about the people who are doing it just to be right.
That's very convoluted.
We'll see.
Either way,
and then we'll compare the two.
Either way, right. And again, this is coming from the guy who I think was the last defender of Fangio last year.
Founder of Orange Weekly, co-founder.
Well, no, I'm talking about me right now.
Well,
yes, but I was one of the originals. Sure.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about I was probably the last defender of Fangio last year. So I'm not on the. I don't just go straight for the coach's throat.
Right.
I just see a coach who, again, this goes way beyond schematic and play calling. It's his leadership, lack of leadership, his lack of managerial skills, his lack of admitting when he's wrong, his lack of adjustments. There's, to me, so far, there's been absolutely nothing up to this point to defend Hackett, to make me think that he's going to suddenly a switch is going to click, and all of a sudden we're going to make this thing work.
No, guys, just as we say in the Air Force, embrace the suck. Just embrace it. Look, it's going to suck, but you know what? Broncos are on TV. Before you know it, it's going to be the off season. There's not going to be any football. We're all going to be sad and miserable. So for the time being, just enjoy that the Broncos are playing. We have a chance to win any given Sunday. So you know what? I'm just going to try and focus on that. And we've won 2 games this year. This team has won 2 games. There you go, boys.
We're wearing our orange and blue tinted glasses right now that we're looking through. But anyways, last thing we're going to talk about trades. Yes, I don't know if I would call them entertaining trades. They have listened to trades, and I do think that is an important semantic thing to work through. You know, they're listening to trades. I don't think they're entertaining them. I think entertaining is they're going back and forth and truly thinking about it. I think right now they haven't heard any trade that's actually worth pursuing. So especially again the big 3, Judy, Chubb, and Hamler. Giants are 6-1. I don't know where the heck that came from, but they actually might be good. If they're willing to give up first and second rounders, then sure. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to get either of those. It's again, NFL's bizarre this year. I don't think anyone would have predicted they'd be 6-1 at this point.
I would have said they'd be lucky to win 6 games
right
in the season.
Yeah. I would have to look at this, but again, looking at last game, you didn't have Russ, and you had the same result, and again, you had the same questionable play calling, game planning, having your backup throws 46 times when your run game's working, and you have a run heavy built offense. So again, poor decision to kick the ball for a field goal, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, when it's 20 to 30 mile per hour swirling winds and you're 55 yards out, questionable. Again, 0 points in the third quarter again. And again, 9 points. At a certain point, you know, and again, you got away with what worked. Right. Your first drive, you get your touchdown drive was 14 plays, nine runs.
That was so good.
And then
that was so good.
At that point on, it shifted to 50-50 passing, and then it ended up being 2-to-1 pass rate at that point. For like the second half. And so for me, it goes way beyond just Russ. And don't get me wrong, Russell has not been up to his caliber this year. There's plenty for him to look at and improve on. He has not been the level of quarterback we went and got out. So Russell's not innocent by any means, but I just don't think right now you could throw any quarterback and Hackett's going to find a way to lose the game right now.
Yeah.
So it's rough stuff.
Thanks for tuning in, though, Jesse. I don't think I've seen your name before, so appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, and again, if you're new here, absolutely feel free to post comments, questions, even if you disagree. Usually, if you disagree with me, it means you're wrong, but we still like to entertain it. Usually, if you disagree with this guy, it means you're on the right track. So just kind of give you a little guideline on how it works here on my show, Orange Weekly After Dark. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Again, all kinds of shows and content coming at you this week. We do enjoy interacting with the fellow fans. since we are nothing but fans ourselves. So again, 2-5, possibly Hackett's last shot at redeeming himself and giving him at least the rest of the season to work with. Otherwise, it could be a long flight home. Game in London, early game, you got travel, you got more injuries to deal with, and quite possibly the hottest seat in the NFL right now. What are you looking at? What are you looking for? What are your thoughts going into this game?
Well, historically, the Broncos have been bad on the East Coast early time slot. So I'm thinking if they travel far enough east and play early enough, it's actually the reverse. And we pull out some magical, like, I don't know. I'm just thinking, at what point does that line? Anyway, no, seriously, though, some things I'm looking for, we've talked about them today, and I don't want to take them from you because they're probably your big points too. So I'll say the first big one, just call plays that make sense. Look, you got Rippon in there. You got a very banged up team. Everybody's tired on the road. Just take advantage of that. The Jaguars are just as tired as you guys. Run the damn ball. That way, by third quarter and fourth quarter, Jaguars defense is just gassed. That's how you're going to win this game, or one of the few things. But, if you throw more than, I'm going to put it out there, if you throw more than 25 times, you lose this game. 25 or more. That's fair, especially if Rippon is in, which, by the way, I would not totally count out Wilson at this point for a few reasons. One, it is Wilson who wants to play. Two, Hackett has already said that Wilson's made a lot of progress towards playing this upcoming Sunday. And three, I think Hackett knows his job is on the line, and so he's going to want to put out the best quarterback he can. So I don't think it's going to be totally in the best interest of the team. No, that's terrible.
In the best interest of Wilson. But as we've seen plenty of times so far this year, Hackett has not really made the best decisions with the team time and time again. I agree.
The thing is, you're right, and that's what scares me.
And I don't think he should. And for the record, Wilson should absolutely take all the way through the bye week, to heal up. But again, with Hackett being on this hot of a seat, and again, I mentioned earlier in the show, I don't think it's as simple as a loss and he's gone. No. It's the same result and he's gone. If we get, 21, and how sad is this? I think even if we hit 21 points, he keeps his job. I think that's how low the bar is set for this next week. And that's even if we lose. If we lose 24-21, which if our defense gives up 24 to this Jacksonville offense, then they've had a bad week. But so I think it's more convoluted than just loss and fire. I think it's the same patterns and he's fired. And so with that, I think he's really hoping that Russell Wilson feels he's able to go to give himself the best chance at surviving the season. Something to look. I agree. Yeah, I think everyone here thinks that it's the wrong decision in the long term, but it is what it is. And so we'll have to see how that storyline plays out. We'll see how, again, I've never heard this called a short week before, but apparently Hackett thinks that's a short week. So we'll see how this short week plays out for the Broncos. It very well could be a season-defining week as far as which direction the team ends up heading into the bye week and for the rest of the season. So with all that, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Again, be sure to tune in for the rest of our content throughout the rest of the week. And hopefully next week we'll have some more positive things to talk about. But we'll just have to wait and find out. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks again for joining us. And win or lose, as always, we'll finish with the good old Go Broncos.
Take care, everyone.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah, they know